This DV8 off-road FS-14 mid-width hammer-forged front bumper is for those of you that have a 2007 and 2018 JK that are looking for an aftermarket bumper that's going to add some off-road functionality as well as some additional protection to your Jeep and just overall change up the look of the front of your Wrangler. This is going to be a nice easy 1 out of 3 wrench installation, and we'll get into exactly how you get this bolted up in just a second. So like I said, this is going to add a lot of functionality, a lot of style, and a lot of protection, as with most other front bumpers that you could add onto your Jeep. And this one is going to do it at what I think is a pretty fair price. This is going to be right around that $450 price tag, which is where you'll see a lot of mid-width steel bumpers that have similar features. So let's go ahead and get into the install. So the first step in any new aftermarket bumper installation is removing your factory bumper, so that's what we're going to begin with now, removing the 4 nuts that hold the factory bumper onto the Jeep. Before removing the nuts that hold the bumper into place, you'll want to remove the splash shield on the bottom. A lot of people have already removed that, or if you do a lot of wheeling with your Jeep, the trail may have removed that for you. If yours is still in place, you can pop it off very easily with a trim removal tool or even a screwdriver. There are just a couple of small plastic clips that hold it into place. You'll also want to disconnect the wiring harness from your fog lights. That process is going to be a little bit different depending on the year of your Jeep, but go ahead and do that now. That way, once you get the nuts removed, you can pull the bumper off and not pull on those wires. So now I'm going to get in there and start removing the nuts. Once all 8 nuts are removed, you can simply grab the bumper by the tow hooks and remove it from the Jeep. The last thing we need to remove from the Jeep itself before we can start the installation is this little frame cover up here. There are just 2 small plastic clips that you'll have to pop. You can use a trim removal tool or a small screwdriver to do that. This is a great opportunity to compare the DV8 bumper to a factory one and show some of the major differences. So the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat is this bumper is a little shorter. I would consider the factory bumper to be a full width bumper. The DV8 is going to be more of a mid-width bumper. Of course, the material is completely different. This is a fully metal bumper. While there are pieces of the factory bumper that are metal, overall it's going to be a plastic bumper. Now, the nice thing about this DV8 bumper is that it does have spots to accept the factory fog lights, and that's a feature that I always really like. Your Jeep already has the fog lights, the wiring, the switching. Why not purchase a bumper that allows you to keep those lights? And that is what this one is going to allow you to do. This also has a couple of features that this bumper doesn't have. It has a winch mount right up on top here with a fair lead mount. That means you don't have to purchase any additional hardware to bolt a winch onto your Jeep. That's a nice feature. Right in the center here, it has a cutout, and there's a little bit of a grate that goes in there, and that's really more of a visual thing than anything else. Now, if you are a little bit creative, you have some fabrication skills, you might be able to fit a light in that area, but right out of the box, that's not what it's designed for. It's really just styling cue that there's a little grate in there, and again, that is going to be a difference from the factory bumper. Of course, this has this large hoop up on top here that the factory bumper is not going to have, and up on top of that are 2 light mount tabs. That gives you the opportunity to mount some additional auxiliary lights there. And finally, this is going to have D-ring mounts and come with the D-rings, where the factory bumper has tow hooks. Now, those tow hooks are still very functional, but I prefer the D-ring, especially if you're using a snatch block for your recovery. As the recovering vehicle backs up to make a little bit of slack in that line, it can pop off of a hook. You don't have to worry about that with the D-ring. So now what we're going to do is pop the factory fog lights out of the factory bumper, install them in the DV8 bumper, also install that grate in the center there, and then get the bumper bolted onto the Jeep. So it's important to note that whenever an aftermarket bumper says it will accept factory fog lights, it's referring to these factory fog lights in a factory plastic bumper. If you have a special edition Jeep, a 10th anniversary, any one of those factory metal front bumpers, those fog lights will not bolt into your traditional aftermarket front bumper that accepts your factory fogs. But as you can see, this is a plastic bumper. These fogs will bolt right into that new bumper. All we have to do is remove the 4 screws that are holding it into place. As you can see, we're missing a couple of our screws, but don't worry, there is new hardware that's included in the DV8 box to get these bolted into that DV8 bumper. Instead of using self-tapping screws like the factory bumper does, this bumper is going to use these little speed clips here and then some Phillips head screws. So all you have to do is get these clips put into place on the mounts for the fog lights, put the fog light in place, and then tighten down the hardware. Now we'll install this great piece in the center. It really just sits in the hole provided and gets bolted in with the nut and bolt hardware that DV8 gives you. Now we have everything bolted up to the bumper and it's time to bolt the bumper onto the Jeep. If you are going to be installing a winch onto this bumper, you can do that now, installing the winch on the bumper on the ground and then putting the winch bumper package onto the Jeep. That's really up to you. We're not installing a winch, so the bumper is ready to go. Now, this bumper is going to be fairly heavy, but it is something you can wrestle into place with one person. If you have a buddy around, that will be helpful. That side. After getting all of the hardware tightened down, you plug in your fog lights and you're finished with the installation. So if you are looking for a mid-width steel front bumper that offers a lot of off-road functionality, I would recommend this option from DV8 Off-Road, and you can find it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.